Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by CivicCentre IAS, where we'll discuss the important articles for the day 1st April 2025 from the Hindu, the Indian Express and the PIB. So the first article here talks about the exercise INIO-CHOS 2025. In this context, we'll talk about it. See, this exercise is a multinational air exercise hosted by Hellenic Air Force of the Greece. Know that the exercise will take place at Andravida Air Base of Greece from 31st March 2025 to 11th April 2025. So this exercise will involve air forces from 15 countries, aiming to improve operational capabilities and enhance international cooperation. So what are the various objectives with respect to this mission? See, firstly, this exercise will provide a platform to improve synergy and interoperability among the participating air forces. Secondly, IAF will train in the planning and execution of the combined air operations, simulating modern-day air warfare challenges. Thirdly, the exercise will integrate both air and surface assets in realistic combat situations, owning skills required for the complex joint operations. And lastly, participants will refine tactics, gain insights into operational practices, and contribute to the mutual learning. So the second article here talks about the Naini Lake, which is one of Nainital's key attractions, has recorded a water level of 4.7 feet, marking a 5-year low. In this context, we'll talk about the various aspects and the issue. See, firstly talking about it, this Naini Lake located in Nainital of Uttarakhand has seen a significant drop in the water levels, reaching a 5-year low of 4.7 feet, raising concerns about drinking water scarcity ahead of the summer season. Furthermore, the lake's gauge level is set at 12 feet and it is crucial for drinking water supply within the Uttarakhand Jal Sansthan, attracting 10 million litres daily to meet the city's demand. So, what are the factors contributing to this crisis? See, firstly, the decrease in the snowfall and rainfall during the winter months has exacerbated the problem, especially combined with the aging water distribution network and increased population pressure. And secondly, the annual temperatures in Uttarakhand have increased significantly by 1.5 degrees Celsius since 1970, impacting rainfall and snowfall. And furthermore, unplanned construction and encroachments near the lake, pollution from untreated wastewater and improper waste disposal, and also siltation and debris dumping, which is a major recharge area for Naini Lake, has worsened the situation. Now, what is the impact of the human activity? See, the increased commercialization and tourism in the region have led to the construction of hotels and homestays on the wetlands and near the lake. Also, encroachments and concretization of the natural resource zones, particularly Sukhatal Lake, are hindering the lake's natural replenishment. Also, with respect to the environmental concerns, experts have highlighted that Naini Lake's water levels have reached zero level more than 10 times since 2000, while this occurred only twice in 1900s. The third article here says that India's external debt has risen 10.7% to reach 717.9 billion at the end of December 2024, up from 648.7 billion in December 2023, according to the latest data released by the Finance Ministry. In this context, we will talk about the various aspects related to external debt. See, what is this external debt? See, it refers to the money a country borrows from the foreign sources. Know that it must be repaid in the currency in which it was borrowed. Furthermore, this type of debt can be sourced from various entities such as foreign commercial banks, international financial institutions like the IMF, World Bank, or the governments of other countries. Now, looking at its key characteristics, firstly, the external debt is raised from foreign lenders, including banks, governments, and international organizations. Secondly, it has to be repaid in the foreign currency in which it has been borrowed, and the borrowing country may earn this currency through imports. Furthermore, external debts are often tied loans, meaning the funds must be spent for specific purposes as agreed between the borrower and the lender. For instance, a country may borrow money to procure goods or services from the lender country. Also, what is the importance of it? See, external debt whichever is there is used by countries to fund infrastructure, development projects, and other financial needs that support national growth and development. So if a country is unable to pay its external debt, it enters a sovereign debt crisis which can lead to economic instability. Now, what are the various types or the key types of external debt? See, the first one is the public and publicly guaranteed debt, which is the portion of the debt that the government guarantees or directly borrows on behalf of the country. Secondly, non-guaranteed private sector external debt, which is borrowed by the private corporations but is not backed by the government guarantees. Then the loans from international financial institutions, which are concessional loans provided by multilateral agencies. And lastly, we have the central bank deposits, which are held by a central bank on behalf of the non-residents. So we have something called as tied loans, as I said, which is a loan where the borrower is obligated to use the borrowed funds for specific purposes or to buy resources from the lender country. Also, the LIBOR, which is nothing but the London Interbank Offer Rate, is used as the benchmark to determine the interest rates of these loans. So moving on to talk about the next article, it says that leader of opposition Lok Sabha Rahul Gandhi has written to Prime Minister Narendra Modi condemning the centre's decision to permit offshore mining along the coasts of Kerala, Gujarat and Andaman Nicobar. In this context, we'll talk about the offshore mining. See, offshore mining refers to extraction of valuable mineral sources from seabed, typically within a country's territorial waters, which means its exclusive economic zone and the continental shelf. Also in India, the offshore mining is governed by the Offshore Areas Mineral Development and Regulation Act, which came into force in 2010 and was amended in the year 2023. So you have to know that Article 297 Clause 1 of the Indian Constitution states that all resources found beneath the ocean within the country's territorial waters or the exclusive economic zone are owned by the Union Territory, like Union of India. Also, this act regulates the development and exploration of the offshore mineral resources, except for mineral oils and hydrocarbons. So, this act was amended in August 2023 to introduce an auction process for granting operating rights in the offshore areas, specifically for the minerals, polymetallic nodules and construction sand. So the key amendments include establishment of offshore minerals trust to fund exploration, mitigate environmental impacts and assist affected communities such as fishermen. So the key minerals targeted for the extraction include polymetallic nodules, which contain precious metals like nickel, copper and cobalt, as well as construction and sand, lime, mud. So these minerals have numerous applications. Now, looking at its economic and employment benefits, see, jobs are created in the resource exploration, extracting and processing. Furthermore, jobs are generated in related sectors such as logistics, transportation and marine technology. Furthermore, ports, transportation networks and processing facilities will be developed to support the offshore mining sector. Now, moving on to talk about the other technological impacts. See, offshore mining fosters technological innovation and local expertise, and it offers a potential boost to the economy by enhancing India's role as a supplier of critical minerals. Also, this revenue generated from the offshore mining can help diversify the economy, reducing dependency on sectors vulnerable to climate change and global trends. But there are few challenges and considerations we need to take care of. Now moving on to talk about the next article, it says that the Indian Meteorological Department has ruled out the possibility of an El Nino in the coming southwest monsoon season this year. In this context, we will talk about El Nino and its related impacts. See, El Nino is a phenomenon where the Pacific Ocean's central waters warm up, which significantly impacts the global weather patterns. So this warm water slowly drifts from the central Pacific towards the South American coast, replacing the cool Peruvian current. Note that this warming, which disrupts the normal atmospheric and oceanic patterns, is associated with large-scale weather disturbances globally. So, the combined phenomenon of El Nino and the Southern Oscillation, known as the ENSO or the El Nino Southern Oscillation, influence the weather patterns of the weather systems and the ocean currents. So, these interactions, particularly during the El Nino events, can cause significant disruptions in the weather, affecting multiple regions of the world. So what are the key weather changes during the El Nino event? Firstly, during an El Nino event, trade winds weaken or reverse the direction. So this allows for warm water to shift towards the east, pushing warm waters from the central Pacific towards the coast of South America. Then, the shift in the warm waters causes significant changes in the atmospheric pressure across the Pacific. So this shift affects the weather conditions globally. Also, it has the impact on weather can be seen in South America, where the west coast of South America, particularly Peru, experiences unusual warmth and significant rainfall, which disrupts the typical weather patterns. Then, with respect to Australia and Southeast Asia, El Nino often causes drought conditions in Australia and Southeast Asia. This can lead to reduced rainfall, increased fire risk in these areas. Then, in India, in some years, the India experiences drought conditions during the El Nino event due to decreased monsoon rains. Then, looking at the regional impacts of the El Nino, then in the northern United States and Canada, these regions experience typically drier and warmer conditions due to El Nino events due to shift of the Pacific jet stream. Then the southern US and the Gulf Coast, these areas become wetter than usual, leading to increased flood risks. Then, like if you have to look at the impact on the marine life, normally cold and nutrient-rich water brought to the surface in the Pacific Ocean due to upwelling. So during the El Nino, this upwelling weakens or this stops. This upwelling weakens or stops. If then what happens, leading to a decrease in the nutrients available for the marine life. Furthermore, the reduction in the nutrients affects the phytoplankton, which is the primary food source for many fish species. So this can lead to lower fish populations, impacting fisheries. So moving on to talk about the next article, it says that amid the complaints by opposition ruled states that face discrimination in sharing of the resources, Union Finance Minister on Tuesday launched a website developed by NITI Aayog and the National Council of Applied Economic Research on State Finances. So this is nothing but the NITI NCAER States Economic Forum portal. See, this was launched on 1st April of 2025, developed by NITI Aayog in collaboration with the National Council of Applied Economic Research. Know that this initiative is aimed at addressing the concerns from opposition ruled states regarding alleged discrimination in the resource sharing by providing comprehensive data on the state finances. So, looking at the key features, firstly, the portal will provide detailed state reports for 28 states, summarizing macro and micro fiscal landscape. Then, a complete database that spans from 1990-91 to 2020-23 on various socio-economic and fiscal parameters. And thirdly, this state fiscal and economic dashboard will include will provide graphical representation of key economic variables to enable easier understanding of state finances and performance. Then furthermore, this research and commentary section will include extensive research and expert commentary on the state finances, critical fiscal policies, and financial management practices at both state and national levels. So the research papers will provide valuable insights into fiscal policies, enhancing the understanding of the India's economic landscape. Now, what are the various objectives with respect to this initiative? Firstly, the portal is designed to provide a comprehensive repository offering easy access to a wide range of data that can be used by policymakers, researchers, and the general public. Furthermore, the portal will allow for the benchmarking of the state data against national averages, enabling a comparative analysis of the economic, fiscal, and socio-economic trends across the states. Then, the portal will act as a platform for data-driven debates and discussions on the state-level economic and fiscal issues, encouraging evidence-based policy making. Now, moving on to talk about the next article, it says that ahead of the Supreme Court hearing on the challenges of the Forest Rights Act, 114 Adivasi rights bodies and environmental organizations from across the country on Monday wrote to the Union Tribal Minister demanding for his ministry to defend the 2006 law. In this context, we will talk about the various aspects related to this act. See, the Forest Rights Act of 2006, in other words called the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006, commonly known as this act, is a landmark legislation in India. Know that it acknowledges the rights of forest-dwelling tribal communities and other traditional forest dwellers over the forest resources on which they depend for various purposes. So, looking at its key provisions, firstly, the self-cultivation habitation rights are there, where these are individual rights, allowing forest-dwelling communities to cultivate land and live within the forest. Then, with respect to community rights, we have grazing, fishing, and water body access, habitat rights for PVTGs, then seasonal resource access for the nomadic and pastoral communities, and lastly, biodiversity rights. Then, the Act recognizes the traditional customary rights giving opportunities or communities the right to protect, regenerate and manage their community forest resources sustainably. Also, the Act also allows the allocation of forest land for developmental purposes, ensuring that the basic infrastructural needs of the communities are met without eviction. Also, the right to protection from eviction under the right to fair compensation and transparency in the Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Settlement Act of 2019. This prevents the unlawful eviction of tribal populations without a rehabilitation and resettlement. Then lastly, the Gram Sabha is an empowered body under the Act, enabling the tribal communities to have a decisive role in local policies and schemes. So the Gram Sabha is responsible for conservation and protection of biodiversity, wildlife and ecological balance. So with respect to the objectives, the first objective is it aims to correct the historical injustice faced by forest dwelling communities due to colonial and forced colonial management. Then ensuring the land tenure, livelihood and food security. Then it strengthens the forest conservation by including forest dwelling communities in the management, protection and sustainable use of forests and biodiversity. Lastly, the Act emphasizes the role of tribal communities in the conservation and regeneration of forests, ensuring their participation in the sustainable forest management. So, in this video, we have discussed 7 articles in total for today. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.